This video is brought to you by Keeps. Stick around to hear more about the discount that they've provided to the entire upper echelon community. Okay, today is going to be all about Hollywood, which has apparently fallen from grace. The primary topic will be metrics, ratings, and concurrent viewership for the Oscars, the Grammys, and the Golden Globes, among others, which are actually now canceled in 2022. But secondary topics will focus on celebrity morale, public perception, and even political bedrock, which indicates an immovable shift in widespread public sentiment if we examine what the reality behind Hollywood award ceremonies really is. Purely on the topic of Oscars viewership, I'm a bit late to the party on that one, and many of you watching this have probably already seen all the headlines weeks ago. Oscars viewership down 58% since last year. Oscars viewership hits staggering all-time low, etc., etc. There were a lot of them, but what those headlines and subsequent articles almost never contained was an explanation as to why that has happened and an evaluation of how it was ultimately, I believe, inevitable. First things first, we need to establish that these numbers are industry-wide. The Oscars are just one example, but this collapse in viewership hit every single celebrity-driven Hollywood award ceremony on the market. And by all available metrics, period, they have hit parallel all-time lows, which have not been seen for the past 40 years. The Oscars dropped almost 60% from over 23 million same-day viewers to 9.85. The Golden Globes saw only 5.4 million viewers after an audience in 2020 of 18.3, and the 63rd annual Grammys, hosted by Trevor Noah, was the lowest rated in history, dropping over 53% from the previous year. That kind of audience shift is not caused by a singular event. It is the culmination of many. It's true that these award ceremonies have been declining for years, but those declines have been incremental rather than abrupt, and it would seem that a tipping point has been reached where a clearly defined message has been sent, or should have been sent at least, to everyone inside Hollywood, while also indicating a wider shift in public sentiment when it comes to self-congratulatory preening, which is what these ceremonies have always been. Okay, completely unrelated, but it's time for a personal story, and it's also time to get paid. I have a receding hairline. Some men might be embarrassed about that, but personally, I don't really care because it can be a sign of high testosterone, and in my family it starts then stops for like 30 years if it ever even returns at all. I have no idea what's going on with all of our genes, but if you do care about hair loss for many different reasons, Keeps is here to solve that problem. 2 out of 3 men experience hair loss before the age of 35, and most of you watching this are men ages 18 to 45, so it's a pretty good fit, demographically speaking. Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors. You can order and get treated directly from your home, and they offer generic versions of the only 2 products on the entire market, which are, in fact, FDA approved. For a limited time, using the link down below, you can get 50% off your first order. Again, that's 50% off your first order if you click the link down below in the description. Keeps can prevent and even, in some circumstances, reverse the process of hair loss, and when factoring in audience demographics and their ongoing support of the channel, it's a partnership I am very happy to have. Big thank you to Keeps for sponsoring the video. So why did this happen? The simple answer isn't really simple at all, but it can be largely boiled down to the pandemic. Now, here's the thing though. Many people might claim that the pandemic was a cause for remote workplace obstacles, which is true, or they might claim that the cutbacks in production quality contributed to everything, and ceremony events / attendance were the largest factors behind a collapse in Academy Awards interest, which, again, might partially be true. But what they won't claim, or even admit at all ever, is that the issues run far deeper. To the very core, the Oscars, the Grammys, the Golden Globes, all of them are where Hollywood elites go to wallow in their own pathetic self-aggrandizing excess. These are lavish, unnecessary parties designed to stroke egos, that is what they are for, and establish an atmosphere of social superiority. Under certain circumstances, an audience of millions, even tens of millions, can look at these parties with aspiration, but under the umbrella of our current reality, the one that we all are forced to live in, whether we like it or not, that isn't so easy. For a very clear-cut example of why that is a difficult mindset right now, we can look back at Gal Gadot and her Imagine fiasco. Gal Gadot is not a widely disliked celebrity. She is not someone you would think of when it comes to the most hated figures in Hollywood, and yet her social media skit where a bunch of other actors and celebrities joined her to sing Imagine during the height of the pandemic was met with almost universal hatred and backlash. Her message was, we're all in this together, but for obvious reasons, that isn't exactly true. If the pandemic is an ocean, some people have a life raft, some people have just a wooden plank or a board, and others have a multi-million-dollar yacht with a helicopter pad. We might all be in the same ocean, but we're not all in it together, and we're not all equal. This was one of the more high-profile incidents where celebrities forgot just how far disconnected from reality they truly are, but it was by no means the only one. At every single turn, there were Hollywood elites partying, ignoring local ordinance, violating guidelines, and flaunting their wealth. While some celebrities rented private islands for their birthday party, small businesses were shuttered, closed indefinitely, and families ruined, livelihoods destroyed. While Justin and Hailey Bieber hosted a party at their Beverly Hills mansion with a slew of other famous guests, restaurants were being shuttered, families separated by the same laws that they, the elite, were ignoring. It would be impossible to catalog every single instance where Hollywood celebrities conducted themselves in a tone-deaf or selfish way, but many of those instances were widely publicized and seen by millions, tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of people. Again, they were widely publicized. The pandemic certainly did cause a shift in workplace culture or remote business practices, but it also tore away the mask, and funny choice of words there, but it did, when it comes to who does, and more importantly, who does not, suffer equally under the same laws of the land. To go even further, there were absolutely pathetic, meaningless, and insulting, really truly insulting breakdowns that occurred, which further exacerbated the issue of optics for these people. It might not have been before the Oscars, and it's just one example. There are many more, and it might not have been a contributing factor by itself in their decline, that is the decline of Academy Awards or Hollywood ceremonies, etc. But Gwyneth Paltrow, Pepper Potts in the Iron Man films, for those that don't know, discussed how she broke down and was driven to extremes because she drank as many as 2 cocktails a night. The horror, not like there were people who struggle with alcoholism or depression stuck in their homes with far worse outcomes. And she even went so far as to eat pasta and bread. That's her breakdown. That's her rock bottom. These people are not part of the same world. No, even better, not even, the same universe as the rest of us. And when things go well, they can be looked at as a shallow husk of a human with aspirational success. But when things are at their worst, these people are incapable of hiding what they really are. And what they really are is disgusting. While the lockdowns trapped many average families in dire circumstances, they trapped celebrities in multi-million-dollar mansions with more possessions in one single room than we have to our entire name, so that they could cry and whine about how bored they are, while spending a little extra money to circumvent those oppressive regulations and continue their lives in the exact same way that they wanted to, ignoring the things that trapped all the rest of us. That was not possible for most, and the appetite for watching these people celebrate themselves with rich and lavish award ceremonies has disappeared. However, like I said, that's merely one of the reasons why these award shows are dying. Another reason is politics. Now, I don't want to turn this into a weaponized political rant about, or towards, really, any one single group, so I will try my best to discuss what should be easy to recognize as an objective reality. There is a decidedly large, and still growing, distaste for excessive wealth on the left side of the political aisle. That might not be universally true for everyone who considers themselves left of center, but it is true for some, likely the majority, of the most vocal activists and advocates in that space, all right? I'm hoping that everybody can just accept that that's true because it is. The idea of excessive wealth is even viewed as a moral issue by some in that arena who perceive the acquisition and maintenance of that wealth to be a crime against humanity. This is not to take a position on that topic from a personal perspective. It is to underline that on the left side of the aisle, in the extremes at least, and especially for the most vocal subsets of online discourse, definitely, there is animosity for the wealthy and a desire to see them displaced, taxed further, or otherwise punished and torn down. I would hope that we can acknowledge that as a simple, objective truth. Well, that animosity does not mesh very well with lavish, self-congratulatory parties and huge, overtly excessive award ceremonies. However, these ceremonies are making a deliberate effort aimed at catering to that particular audience. It may be self-flagellation, it might be sadomasochistic tendencies, who the hell knows, but these ceremonies have been advancing for years towards more and more intense rhetoric and messaging that appeals to a very specific political demographic. I'm sure everyone can see where this is going right now. The rich, Hollywood elites, in a time when the pandemic ravages all families in a decisively unequal way, continue their excessive behavior and further expose to the world how trivial and shallow their existence really is. Their ceremonies cater to a political demographic whose radical elements intrinsically hate them, and they do all of this in a time where information about their behavior spreads faster and easier than ever before. I would argue that this is not simply pandemic screen fatigue or low attention span millennial viewership, which are both arguments that I've heard made frequently online about this very topic. I would argue that the fundamental premise of these award ceremonies has found the end of the rail. In America, everyone wanted to be the guy in the limousine. Everyone wanted to have the corner office in a city high-rise, but the fact of the matter is, times change. Now, The most vocal among us don't want to be the one in the limo, they throw eggs at it. And they don't want to have the corner office, they want to burn it down for the good of the people. In a world like that, it's pretty hard not to see exactly where the decadence of Hollywood elitism will ultimately find itself. Whether or not you believe that the Golden Globes are cancelled in 2022 because of Hollywood infighting over social justice or sheer embarrassment in the wake of their colossal failure is up to you, but one thing remains decisively true. People have endured circumstances that make it harder than ever before in our entire lifespan to cheer for, or even basically tolerate, the self-obsessed narcissism of Hollywood. And when the public has grown tired of your quest for their affection, or your narrow-minded antics and moralizing self-centered behavior, it marks the end of the road for the ceremonies that promote and feed on that very same admiration. Personally, I'm happy. Hollywood has become a cesspit, and their award ceremonies are simply the most public-facing moment in that entire lifestyle. And judging by the viewership, I'm not alone. Maybe they can find a way to make the show go on, maybe not, probably not, I don't think so. We'll have to see, maybe though. In my eyes, it's doubtful, but who cares either way? But that's it. If you want support, please consider watching on Odyssey, linked down below in the description. It's a YouTube platform alternative that rewards its creators very well. It's very beneficial for me for you to watch on that platform. There's also locals, $5 a month to help keep the channel operational, and you can get completely ad-free versions of all of the videos and the audio podcast form as well. Also merch, social media, other social media that is, another YouTuber to check out and subscribe to. Keeps, right? The discount, 50%, whatever on your first order, link down below, but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching and have a nice night.